welcome to Emotions and Shh. And today I'm joined, well, first of all, my name is Kevin. I'm filling in for your main host, Jason and Haven, uh, mostly because I found this amazing person on Twitter and I just had to get him on the show. Welcome, Tito.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Tito, aka your favorite Puerto Rican bootlegger, aka Fairy Godboiler, aka your favorite food is trash. Let's argue. What's going on, y'all?
Oh, man. Speaking of favorite foods being trash, man, I felt like I was insulted just the other day, just yesterday, in fact. What's his name? Jermaine. He came after sweet potato pie. I'm like, dang.
Hey, look, man. When I saw that, I was like, oh my god, I am so proud. I feel like I'm inspiring people.
You are. You're starting a legion of doom. Just assaulting everyone. It's just wow. Sweet potato pie. I mean, I'm from the South, so sweet potato pie was a staple for every holiday, and I gotta say, I think my mom has perfected it. Like she's been experimenting recently, and by recently I mean for the past decade almost, with just coming up with stuff, trying to figure out the best thing uh, to to put together with it. And I think she's finally come to the decision or the realization that the best way to make good food is just to keep it simple. And her sweet potato pie is pretty much just sweet potatoes with uh, a little bit of sweetness added to it, but it's mostly just the sweet potatoes coming out as sweet as they can be naturally, and I love it. But but yeah, like when I saw Jermaine say that, I'm like, dang, this is this is how my villain origin story starts. So
I mean, I saw that he deleted it and then apparently like reposted it. I was like, wait, what happened?
he
I
knows.
was like, yo, like I'm gonna fill y'all in. I'm gonna give y'all a little secret. I probably am not really all that passionate about my food opinions. It's just sometimes I look at the TL and I go, things are a little heavy right now. I think we should just argue about food.
Yeah,
Like,
and and it's great.
and a
It's
couple of people, that I've gotten to know have figured it out, and they're like, you don't really believe most of the shit you post. I'm like, no, I really don't. Like,
uh, but I gotta say, it is a welcome breather from the heavy stuff that does go on because, like, I don't know, and I feel like arguing about nerdy things like comic books or uh, favorite color or food opinions and things like that. Like I can put a lot of energy and passion into that without the negative blowback because whatever comes out of the fallout from that is it's usually just laughs, and I love laughing. So it's definitely great to take your mind off of something serious and devote it to something that's enjoyable, even if it does, cause rifts and friendships and all that. It's jokes. It's jokes. It's roast. It's having fun for the sake of having fun.
yeah, look, it's all jokes, man, bro. I'm gonna keep it real. The only opinion where I'd be like, you know what, y'all can fight me, is mayo is good. I don't care. Y'all can fight me. Mayo, mayo is good. Like I am, you know, I am what you would call a spicy white, and my spicy whiteness will not let me slander mayo. Okay, mayo is good. Like
Mayo.
y'all out here hating.
Mayo. You mean so when you say mail, you mean like actual delivery mail? Like I'm
No,
sending
no,
you a
no, no,
letter
not
type thing?
mayo, not mayo, 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 mayonnaise.
Oh, mayo, like mayonnaise mayo.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, 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 yeah.
okay, okay. And you
See,
know what?
man, what? You about to have people out here confused?
You're right. You're right. But yeah, mayo. I gotta say, I I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I feel like growing up, I kind of feel like I grew up in a bubble because a lot of things that society says is this and is that just kind of just didn't hit me that way. So when it comes to mayo and mayonnaise and all that, like I'll put it on, a sandwich that, I deem deserves it. A ham and cheese sandwich, put some mayo on it. It works. It works. But I
Look,
do
man,
understand.
the funniest thing somebody ever told me about my food opinions. I was talking to somebody and they said, "Man, your food opinions are anti-black." Like I still ain't recovered from that shit.
uh, I mean, it cuts down to the heart of it. It really does.
Oh, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we got a pretty cool topic that's fitting for the title of the show. Came up by our man Tito right here. You want to spin us into it, or how you want to do it?
Yeah, man. Like, for those of you who have been following me for a long time, as Kevin has been, I my main topic, and I have threads upon threads upon threads about this, is interpersonal relationships, namely interpersonal relationships between men, and as we relate to each other, and as we um relate to the opposite sex, especially as just friends, like not trying to be anything more, not, no ulterior motives, no strings, just intentionality and effort as friends. Like, if you've been following me for a long time, friendship is something that I really, and really unequivocally loving people is something that I dedicate my life to. Like every once in a while I do a lot of affirmations and dedications to people. Like if I really get to know you, chances are, you know, you'll get an "I appreciate you, thank you for being" text very often, because I believe in giving people, their flowers while they're here. I don't think you need a special occasion for that.
Oh, and that's truly beautiful. I really wish a lot more people were like that. And I don't know, it's kind of weird in the sense that it's not normal. If you feel me, because
Yeah, yeah.
those things those things are vital, like vital to simply existing. Like
Yeah.
everyone goes through tough times. Everyone goes through, heartache, pain, stress, all that. And usually when people are going through those down times, occasionally they'll shut themselves off from the world, or even the opposite. They'll go all the way out, trying to please others and do all this. But it seems to take these special events that seem to deviate from what that person normally does to get people to notice. Oh, I should come up and try and you know reach out, say how are you doing, and actually mean how are you doing instead of the general how are you doing. Oh, I'm fine, okay, and move on. Like the truly meaningful reaching out. So the fact that that's not normal is weird, and but it's I don't know, like one of the things that I personally don't like is dang, just lost a train of thought. But let's see, I really want to get this out. Yeah, it pretty much touches on what you said before. Just giving flowers to people while they're here. I don't like that it takes a special event for people to actually remember that people exist, and that that needs to change. But I don't see a real way for that to change. At least on a global scale. Obviously change starts from person to person. But what are your thoughts on how to make that
Yeah. Like for me personally, I just try to cultivate it in any space that I'm in. It's never been about me trying to change a person. It's just me me living as I live. And if that affects you, it affects you. If it doesn't, okay. But in my experience, more often than not, I've gotten so many messages from people saying, I've learned a lot from you. You've taught me very different ways to approach relationships. Like I've had um, a lot of gay men in particular be like, yo, I have never heard a straight man talk the way you do. And that makes me sad. It makes me sad that the funny thing is because of the way I talk, a lot of people think I'm gay. Like I've had a lot of gay dudes shoot their shot. Which is, it's awkward because I feel bad. Like I've had people um block me not because, I did anything wrong, but because, they just shot their shot and found that I'm not gay. They're embarrassed. I get it. You know. Um and also, you don't know the way a straight dude's gonna react. He might be like, "Oh, what the," you know. And I never do that. I've had actually moments where they shot their shot. I told them whatever, and we ended up being friends. You know, um, like I did not know that I was such a strange case until I got on Twitter and people kept saying, nobody talks like you. and and for me, again, that makes me sad. It makes me sad that, you go out into this world full of people, but it's so hard for people to just be intentional.
Hmm. Yeah, and I kind of want to, like, everything that happens in society was kind of put up there for a reason. But the reason that it's still there is because basically because of tradition. Like, it's done this way because my dad did it this way, my grandpa did it this way, my great grandpa, all the way up to the family tree where it actually, like, the need for it actually started. Um, just just the other day, I was on Facebook and someone, in fact, I think it was Jason, the other host of this show. He posted on his Facebook saying, "What does it mean for you to be a man?" And typically, whenever I see questions like this, I I always cringe at those questions because, again, I kind of grew up not necessarily away from society because I was always, anyone who lives in the world is a part of some sort of society, a part of some sort of society. So, but growing up, I was always the kind of person that's like, you're doing this because it's the way, that's just the way it's done. But why? I was always a questioner. So whenever I see questions like that, what does it mean to be a man? I always cringe because the answers are usually the same things that were taught to them instead of things that they actually came to learn on their own. So you got the general things, being a man means to be strong, means to know be about your business, means to always get work done, be tough, and all this. Typical traits that describe masculinity. And again, I get that, and there were a couple of answers that sort of subverted that by also, but still tried to say that was also being a part of a man. Like some said, real men, they know how to be in tune with their emotions, but then and I'm like, I'm great with that. People, men, women, everyone needs to know how to be in tune with their emotions. But then they try to tie it back into masculinity, saying you have to be in touch with your emotions in order to control them. And that's where I'm like, no, you are so close. And then you kind of just stirred it off back into, the typical everyday notion. I mean, I don't think emotions can be controlled. And I don't think they should be because emotions are pretty much an indicator for your well-being, like what state your mind is in. Like people try and separate emotion and logic all the time. My answer to that is always, it's not logical to try and separate your emotions because emotions help you better understand yourself and the world around you. So, just stuff like that. So, like I ended up responding to that post and basically saying being a man is something that society tells you, like what it means to be a good man. It's just whatever society is at the time, and society changes anyway. Like what was required of men back in Stone Ages or um, colonial times, or at any point in life, it was based on the things that men had to do. Like back in the day, men had to literally go out, provide for their family. Uh, Before then, they had to hunting, gathering, and all that. Like they had to literally be what the times forced them to be. Now that we, you know, people in civilized societies, and I hate using civilized as opposed to, I guess I'll just say people in developed cultures. We have technology, we have all these things that sort of cut out the need to, be tough and, hunt and do all this stuff. So we have room to actually grow and, be in touch with, you know, your feminine side, I guess you could call it. But yeah, so that question just it's a weird question to me because the answer is whatever is already in place instead of what's coming from within. So I don't know. What are you what are
Yeah,
your thoughts on that?
there are there are so many layers to this, even with women, right? Because let's take white women for example. White women are allowed to be fragile, vulnerable, on some save me type shit. But women of color and black women are expected to have a lot of the same strength and qualities that most men are.
Hmm.
So it's always been um, a very layered question to me, which is why you see in a lot of my affirmations, I say, "You are not labor, you are not strength, you are not a sacrifice," because that is what the women in my life were. They were not allowed to. They were not allowed to be people. And then, as a man, what you fall into is, as you said, I need to not have emotions or I need to internalize them. And, it's not just men pushing this, it's women pushing this too. Because my mother used to tell me this all the time. Like, I didn't, basically, she would say, I didn't know. I didn't know I was raising a lesbian, is how she would put it. Because I was always very emotionally aware, very intuitive. Um, as people, people don't really know how to describe it, so they would say, "Oh, you have a very feminine energy," and they don't mean that in a good way because they perceive womanhood with weakness. They perceive womanhood with you know a fragility and a vulnerability that they fear. Whereas um, a big thing for me has always been I don't run from people's vulnerability. I don't run from people's fragility. I don't run from people's fears. I tell people to show me the entirety of themselves, because most of the people in our lives, we can show them parts of themselves. We can show them parts of ourselves. There are parts of each other that we like, but there are parts of each other that we see, and there are parts of each other that we unsee because we have not been taught to embrace people as people. We uh, we leech from them as commodities. Everybody does this. You have someone you like, and you say, "Oh, this is the person that makes me laugh. This is the person that has good advice. This is the person that does this." And when they don't have that, when they can no longer do that, when their cup is empty, you're done with them.
Yeah, that's that's powerful because it's true. Like I see that within myself. Like real talk. I'm I'm kind of the same way in that respect because again, I kind of speaking to me personally, like, I grew up kind of away from everyone. I managed to float between, different types of groups, the nerds, the the freaks, the geeks, and just I somehow managed to strike a chord with everyone. Not in the sense that I'm going out seeking everyone, trying to be a part of their group. It's just that I just had such a, I guess, less threatening personality that I didn't go out and, reject people based on what group they're associated with. But by that same token, I would only be in these groups to get what I expected those groups to give me. Pretty like, if I wanted to, laugh, clown around, joke around about, just video games or whatever, I'd have my video game group. If I wanted to talk about, I don't know, music, I'd have my music people. Sometimes the groups would have interests that would cross over, and they'd already have, inter relationships within them too. I'd be a part of that too. At work, as a general rule for me, like I keep my work stuff at work, but that also includes the people there too. So like any sort of relationship I have with my coworkers, it's strictly while I'm on the clock. As soon as I get out, like I'm not in the mood to think about work, so I won't reach out to my coworkers as even if we do have interests outside of work, I won't reach out to, because in my mind it's like I'll keep things separated in a consumer type fashion, and I know that's a huge thing for me. I know that's a huge thing with me, and sometimes I think about trying to make that change, and sometimes I don't. But I know that's a me thing, like just plain and simple. And again, it's weird, but I don't know what else to do about it at this point other than at least acknowledge it.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, and this episode was brought to you by MYB Casinos. MYB Casinos is an online casino app that allows you to do blackjack, roulette, and all that stuff from your home. It's got 200% welcome bonus and a guaranteed payouts. That's mybcasino.ag. M as in money, Y as in yes, B as in Bravo. Check them out. It's got live dealer casino where an actual person is dealing out cards to you. And if you want to help out the show, just enter the promo code COMIC for us. Because remember, we used to be Comic John. But anyway, peace, love, harmony. Thanks, everybody. Now back to your previously scheduled episode.
Yeah, and like I said, it's up to people what they want to do. It's like I always say, I don't, good or bad, I don't change for anyone. Like I told people, my mission statement is I love you like I'm fucking you, even though I'm not. Like I get to know people and learn them with an intensity and intentionality that most don't. And people often mistake that with, they want to take it to the other extreme of, oh, you must be like an obsessive person. And it's not that at all. It's literally just, yo, if you're going to be in my life, I'm going to treat you like I want you here. No one in my life is here for me to simply pass the time or be a fair weather friend with them. It's like I always say, your smiles, your frowns, your tears, your joy. I want all that. Whereas
Yeah.
most people will tell you, oh, you and your feelings, you sad, okay, I'll be back later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is why you're such a, I don't want to say necessary, but important presence, like on Twitter. Like the reason you have like thousands of followers is because people recognize that they don't have that in their life. They don't know what that looks like, and you show an example of what that could look like. And I'm sure people are like, this is great. I'm gonna try and do something to pass it on. It's like Like occasionally you'll see like these little feel good YouTube videos of people like, hell, here's like a $10 bill, or let me buy you lunch for free or whatever, as long as you pass it on to the next one. I mean, like, as cheesy as those are necessary because it shows that, you know, it shows what could be. It shows the ideal. It shows a potential possibility that's actually real and actually achievable. You prove that being a truly sensitive, emotionally mature person is a real thing, and that is so necessary.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I tell people, I am here just to show people that good exists. Um, and it's interesting when your friends kind of show you just how fucked up they really are, because uh, when I got separated, my friend let me stay with him, and I cooked for him. I cleaned his clothes. Um, I would clean his room, and he told me, he's like, "Damn, dude, you're like my wife." And I was like, why do you have to associate caretaking with womanhood? Why can't men do those same things? You know, why why can't I take care of you without it being uh associated with, oh, quote unquote, you're acting like a girl, you know? And I would explain to him, like, don't you care about me? Wouldn't you do anything I asked, anything I needed? You shouldn't you shouldn't uh take that for granted or expect that from anyone, whether it's a man or a woman doing it. And I try to, like I said, I try to cultivate in my space the idea that caring for people, being there for them, and going the extra mile for them is just something you should do. It's not a gender role.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. Like, again, these gender roles, they're only in effect because a long time ago they were needed. And again, times change, people change, society changes. So adhering to these gender roles just because they're already there, it's it's simple to do because it's there's comfort in knowing what to expect. But my biggest thing is I want people to examine the why behind things. Like, I'm not against, undoing every single tradition just because it's a tradition. I'm more interested in people looking at the tradition, examining it, and seeing if there's a need for it right now. And things like, women being caretakers and men being, the again, the hunter gatherers, that if you feel like that needs to be in place for you in your life, okay, that's cool. But I want you to at least ask the question and try and try and actually piece together the what why that fits within your life. Sometimes, asking that question, you may come up with the same conclusion, but that same conclusion for you doesn't necessarily have to be the same conclusion for everyone. So do what works for you and let other people figure out what works for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that different people are attracted to different things. The problem comes when you degrade or demean someone for not being uh, or having the qualities that you deem necessary in a person you like. Because I've been told many times, oh, you should put some bass in your voice, or, uh, you know, why do you talk a certain way, or why do you believe these certain things? Um, and I've been told by plenty of people, Because I've had some threads go viral and I get plenty of the I hope she gave you the pussy, bro tweets, you know. Um and like I said, I don't believe anything I believe for that. I believe what I believe because that's just what I've gotten from my own life experience. Um and like I said, it's very interesting what resonates with who, because it's not as if I talk about one thing. I talk about, there are a lot of places you can go when it comes to interpersonal relationships. I talk about my interpersonal relationships as they relate to me being a Latinx person, uh, with the world around me. I talk about interpersonal relationships with me being a disabled person with the world around me. I talk about interpersonal relationships as a man with the world around me. I talk about interpersonal relationships as someone with depression, as being an empath. There are so many places you can go, and these are places people are not willing to go, uh, particularly when it comes to race. People often look at their interpersonal relationships as isolated incidents. They're not. You are taking prejudices and biases into your friendships and relationships, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. That was perfectly stated. Absolutely. And it's things like that that actually make up the the societal rules, like just these prejudices and biases and ideas on how I want to be in the world. Like, I mean, people forget that groups are made up of people. Like, people will always go around saying, oh, this is just group think, this is just mob mentality, or this group's trying to overtake this other, or whatever. Like, people really do forget that groups are made up of people, and there wouldn't be a group without the people coming together and expressing that similar thought. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head big time with how
Yeah,
how
man.
you
I
perceive
mean,
the world.
yeah. Like most of my friends, uh, on and off Twitter, are black. And if if I do not check the people around me, if I do not check myself on the biases and racism that I was raised with, I could not call myself their friend. Um, like, I actually disowned my family because I told my mother, you know, talk your racist shit, but you're not gonna do it around me. And she's like, oh, I know you like to do that social justice warrior shit, but you don't do it with family. I was like, no, actually, that's exactly who I do it with the most. Um, you know, I I do not tolerate or justify bigotry of any kind, like at all. And because the thing is particularly in a lot of interpersonal relationships, uh, a lot of people don't realize that they 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 choose quote unquote their own, even over the friendships that they claim to treasure. Like, I had to stop fucking with white people for the most part because there's always this moment where, all right, it's time for me to choose my whiteness right now. You know, like,
Yeah, yeah, and that's big. Like, and it really doesn't stop. It doesn't stop because everyone will always go with, like you said, with what they know. It's a weird it's a weird thing, and I've been saying a lot of things have been weird because, like, as much as I love people and as much as I love humanity, it intrigues me and also scares me because a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing, I think it's just common sense. Like, yeah, people are products of their surroundings. People are uh, people express things based on what they grew up with, and until you actually take a moment and look at what you grew up with and see if that's should or shouldn't be, then you're just a part of the same system that's always been. And I think that's common sense. But when I try and express that or try to explain that to other people, I guess the gut reaction is, oh, I can't believe you're attacking me. I can't believe you're trying to, you know, tear down this thing. Uh, uh, there was a quote somewhere that said, for the longest time, uh, people just didn't talk about politics or religion, and because of that, like they did that as a means of, that just always makes enemies. That just always ruins friendships. The best thing to go about it is to just not deal with it at all. Well, because of that, no one knows how to deal with that. So anytime it's brought up, the initial gut reaction is, oh, you're coming after me now, instead of, no, I'm just pointing out something that I just saw right in front of me. So it's hard to get people to look at things in a critical manner because I guess they were brought up. I guess it's since they were brought up in this way, they feel like that it's a part of them. So when you point out the thing that they claim is intrinsically a part of them, that's thinking that it's a personal attack. And things, just talking about topics isn't a personal attack. It could be like if, I see you constantly doing this thing that I don't think is right. Yeah, I'm personally talking to you as a means of trying to reach out, but I don't know, it's a weird way to navigate because you're not only navigating with, the thoughts and the words and the process, you're navigating with people.
Yeah, but the problem is that I always tell other Latinx people and white people, I say, fuck you. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to me. I'm talking to all of us. Stop. We have to stop behaving as though, oh no, I'm not talking about you. No, you know what? I probably am talking about you because I guarantee you that when you're around a group of your own and y'all are talking that racist shit, you're probably not saying a goddamn thing about it. So yes, I am talking to you because you're probably part of the problem. And this idea that we have to coddle people into doing the right thing, I've lost a lot of friends by telling them straight up, like, I know you don't think you are, but you really are trash. You really are. Like, I left my previous church and I told the pastor exactly why. I said, yo, you're a racist piece of shit. I'm out of here. Like, I don't,
Yo.
I truly don't care. Like, my entire church uh hid me on my Facebook because I kept it too real for them. Like,
Yo,
nah.
that's amazing. And kudos to you for that. I love that. I wish I was more like that, but I'm still in that, not necessarily coddle. Like again, I know I'm part of the same system because I'll try and skate around it just to, I mean, just to exist almost. And I'm pretty sure, like, once I get to the point where I do get fed up, I'm probably going to be a lot more in your face. And I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm pretty sure once I'm at that point, I won't care. But it's cool. Like, I like that. I like that about you, and I like that about everyone who has that mentality. Just keep it real.
Oh, bro,
Tell people
and like, and it's not about, oh, I feel like being mean to you right now. It's about like, yo, I am probably the first person to give you the real, and you're gonna be mad, but you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna go home and you're gonna think about that shit because
Yeah,
you're gonna know in your heart of hearts that that shit is true. Like I tell there are, especially in the Latinx community, so there's so much racism, as if we don't have fucking Afro Latinx people in our midst. And it's like, okay, like you do realize that these people that you want to be like don't like you either. Like you do realize that, right? Like I it's mind blowing. Like, you know, um and again, I don't I don't really care about, losing or alienating people that have trash ass views anyway. Like I tell people, I told my family to fuck off. You think I won't tell you to fuck off?
I
Like,
respect it.
like I told like I said, I told my mom this year those exact words. I said, yo, fuck off and leave me alone. Like, I am here. I'm here to love people. I'm here to care about people in every sense of the word. Whether that means and you have to look at relationships interpersonally. You have to look at relationships on a societal level. You have to look at relationships in so many ways because you know the just because I see you one way doesn't mean the world doesn't see you in another. It doesn't mean my people as a whole don't see you as another. Like if you and I are walking and a cop sees us, I'm gonna look at you and tell you to shut the fuck up while I do all the talking because I want you to live. you know
Yeah,
like that is the kind of societal awareness that more people need to have, particularly with their Black friends and friends of color. They need to understand where they stand in this world as far as privilege is concerned and use it for people's benefit.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, think we'll call it right here. This was great, and Tito, you were amazing. We are definitely going to have you back on soon, if time permits, whatever your schedule's like. I am
Oh,
down for that, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners would love to have more of your insight as well.
oh yeah.
So yeah, but in the meantime, where can people find you? Like,
Tito Q85 on Twitter. If you want hot takes on food, threads on interpersonal relationships, and the occasional mental breakdown. No, but yeah, that's my that is my social media. That's what I use mostly.
oh yeah, like as a let's see, I don't even remember when I started following you, but ever since I did, like it's been a treat. Like you keep everything so real and so personal that it really does cause people to stop and think, and that's what I love the most about people. Like I love humanity, and you seem to have a very keen awareness of what makes humanity tick. Like you ask the questions, you give your own experiences as a potential answer for it, and it works as a great jumping off point for anyone to truly examine where they stand in you know within the human race, and that is a huge value to anyone following, listening, or and doing whatever. So definitely follow this man.
Yeah, man, and like I said, like we always do about this time, the The sign off is have a good day, everybody. Thank you for being. I hope you got the chance to feel love today.
Doesn't get any better than that. This is Kevin, and you've been listening to Emotions and Shh, and have a great day.